Your suspicions have been confirmed. The king of Twitter admits his social media giant is run by a cauldron of bias.
We do not look at content with regards to political viewpoint or ideology. We look at behavior. We need to constantly show that we are not adding our own bias, which I fully admit is more left-leaning.
Hardly surprising. Almost all press has a liberal slant. I know. I've worked in every kind of media, and I was always the odd man out, even in those art films I made in Germany. And it's obvious with Twitter and how they treat the fringes. Fringe right, you're banned. Fringe left, have a seat in our private lounge. You can hate both whack packs and still see Jack run to the left. This admission is key in the era of fake news accusations. What Trump's been doing is what we've been doing for decades, sitting in front of the TV, shouting at the bias merchants, at those big networks as they delivered shoddy claims on climate change, gun control, tax cuts, and God knows what else. We screamed until someone listened. Yep, the huge success of Fair and Balanced shows that you were only getting half the story before, the half that's imbalanced and unfair. Because that half of the story is no story, it's fake news. It's just what we said it was. But Trump just crunched the complaint into two handy words. Instead of it being shouted at the TV, it's now coming from the TV. Before the rulers of the airwaves could mock Mr. and Mrs. Jones on Main Street for their anger, it's hard to do that now that the guy on Pennsylvania Avenue has become the Joneses' spokesman. So it's no wonder new media is confessing its sins to cable's nosy neighbor. They know the jig, once again, is up. Dana, were you hardly surprising that when he said, I kind of give him credit for admitting it.
I do. Well, I give him credit for a few things. He could have tweeted this.
Yes.
But instead, he is not hiding in Silicon Valley. He has actually come to do in-person interviews.
But not at Fox.
Well, maybe he will. Maybe he'll come sit with us here at the 5 if you'd like that. I also thought it was interesting that he said that he regrets a decision to make Twitter about getting more followers, and that he wishes, and they're going to try to turn it around, that it should be about wanting to follow stories and hashtags and issues, which would have been a very different thing.
Interesting.
In the beginning, if they had done that.
I don't know if I'd like that.
I don't know either, but at least that they're out there thinking about it. I think that they're also doing some of this press because there's a big hearing on September 5th, the day after Labor Day, where Twitter, Facebook, and Google all have to be in front of the Senate.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Yeah,
watch
remember
all
those?
Yeah.
It's also the same day as the Kavanaugh hearings, though, so it'll be competition.
Boy, you're going to have a ball. Daily Briefing's going to be hearing mad. Kilmeade, do you have any followers on Twitter?
Not yet.
No.
I think 2-3 people I might get if this show goes well. I might have 2 people get on. I don't even know why you'd have Twitter if you don't feel as though you have a bigger footprint. One of the things about Twitter is not just to get followers so you can brag on the 5.
It's an ego
It's
thing.
to actually able to say, hey, Greg, you're at a Huntington book review. Come by, and you could actually, instead of doing it from the bullhorn.
You would be better is saying, I'll be at the Villages on Saturday.
Is that hypothetical or is that real?
What?
Is that hypothetical?
No, that's true.
Oh, okay, fine.
Huntington was last week. You don't want to confuse people.
You're right.
This ain't Fox and Friends.
But here, again, we go back to your favorite show. So he admits that his people lean to the left.
Right.
So he admits that that is playing a role in his
No, that's not what he says.
Twitter.
He says they admit they roll left, but that they don't. What he says is we do not look at content with regards to political viewpoint or ideology. We look at behavior.
But I don't believe him.
But he says he admits they have to continue to make sure there's no bias.
Right.
But to me, it sounds like he can't control his employees. Even if he leans to the left, but wants a fair and balance for the business model to work, it seems he can't control the people that are screening out a lot of the material.
That's the implication. Well, no, Juan, you've been in journalism since I remember reading you in the 80s.
In the 80s? How about the 20s?
Yeah, but you have to admit, you knew that the newsroom was biased, and it had to have some effect on what came out on the page.
I guess it does. I don't think that we can go back to the whole argument about Peter Strzok, So if you're people, it's like saying I work at Fox. Most people here are conservatives. Do I think it impacts our content? Yes, but do I think that it results in bias from the straight news people here? I don't think so, but could be. I don't know. I'll leave it to you to judge.
Well, Peter Strzok's not a good example. He has a plan to stop Trump.
No, he didn't have a plan. He said he didn't like Trump.
He was bragging to his girlfriend?
I'm just telling you what the IG
That wasn't his girlfriend. That was his lover.
I think the bigger thing with Jack Dorsey, though, is to my mind, from my perspective, Dorsey's the one guy that said, Alex Jones, with all your conspiracy theories, you can hang around.
Which the left is out.
outraged.
Right. The left
So-
is as mad.
Yes.
He's
So
not-
Apple, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, they all said this guy is about hate speech and conspiracy theories, and he should not be given a platform. Dorsey does it.
you
You guys
know
say, oh,
what?
so what if some of his staff are
We just want
liberals?
Farrakhan. We just want equal treatment for all whack jobs.
Yes.
Right. Freely distributing videos from the Islamic State of murders and beheadings, that's fine. But because, again, this went on and on. This was YouTube. This was Facebook. This was Twitter. For years that they didn't police any of that content. The issue is when we talk about Alex Jones and all of those technology companies, all of a sudden, the why now? Why did they dump Alex Jones at that one point? It raises the issue of these companies have gotten way too big, that the government stood by, particularly with Facebook, with the acquisition of Instagram and WhatsApp. They've gotten too big, and they're asking to be broken up, quite frankly. And the fact that they all acted somewhat in unison about that, it smells bad.
I'm asking, I don't actually have an opinion on this. Do you think that's good for the market? Like, is that a good idea that these companies be broken up? That the government step in?
It's better if the government looks at these acquisitions before they happen, and you avoid getting a concentration of power like this. But you know what? It's a free market. If conservatives don't like the way their speech is treated on Twitter, on Facebook, anywhere across the internet, you're welcome to go out and open another social media platform.
Dagan, can I ask you just to separate out conservative thought from someone like Alex Jones? I don't think Alex Jones should be protected because you say, oh, it's conservative. But Alex Jones is a
Bill Maher,
conspiracy
it's
theorist.
Bill Maher defending Alex Jones.
Right.
You have to defend the idiots.
Decide.
The whole point is the worst speech is what you protect.
That's what the
If you
founders
believe
thought.
if you believe in free speech, it's tolerating the unacceptable and
I
the
mean, he's
appalling.
grotesque. The Sandy Hook stuff is grotesque.
Right,
There's
that's
no
what
question.
I think.
Can you put the standards of the newspapers that we've all we've all grown up with, can you put that into social media? Even if the most unbiased person is trying to weed out right and wrong on Facebook and everything else, and Google and Twitter, I think this is one of the toughest things possible.
Do you think it's the bigger issue for this guy with the beard? What's his name?
Jack Dorsey.
Dorsey. Is that he's realizing he can't control
I think
what's
that
on
they all.
there?
I think that they're
Just
all.
can't control it.
I think they're all starting to realize that. So these hearings that they're having, it's like we have created a monster.
I
And
want to
remember
control
Neil
the
Ferguson's
voices.
book? He said that the square, the village square. Once we were all connected, it was supposed to be utopia, and it's been very different.
Yeah,
but I
you
do
see-
think that Jack Dorsey should have taken the opportunity to thank President Trump for keeping his platform relevant, and everybody's
best thing for-
going to it.
Best thing for Twitter.
Yeah, but, you know, Twitter's problem is the fact that you can't target the sales of laundry detergent and pet food based on somebody's hate of Trump.
Yeah.
And that's how they express themselves on Twitter. And by the way, they would have gotten rid of all those fake accounts years ago if they really, really cared about anything but the bottom line.